If I have a hammer with me, I think I'm prepared for any hazardous situation that might arise. My parents were my role models as a child because of the way they lived. Even if I'm busier than ever, you can look through the lists and find people who are active 1 minute and then suddenly vanish. It's inspiring to work with a director who is also an actor because it fosters a very informal atmosphere. You don't commonly interact with characters whose backstory others are more familiar with than you are. As soon as I had a baby, work was no longer important. I suddenly found myself signed up for the next few years on something of this scope with some of the top actors and directors in the business engaged after sort of trying to find work. It had been a dream. Yes, I have seen Thor. It's wonderful. This has the same amount of character development as a small independent movie. So, in that regard, I felt quite fortunate. We have a beautiful connection and are extremely similar to one another, but we both stick to our convictions. I enjoy learning new stuff. My father has worked in the field of child protection for a very long time. I'm blessed. The best thing for me has been how Thor started everything I'm doing, but I know I need to switch things up a bit. We were in California, but it just wasn't suitable for the kind of family life we wanted. It's difficult to navigate Los Angeles. There are paparazzi to contend with, and I had the overwhelming desire to return to Australia. I hardly ever read comic books before the original Thor was filmed. I read a ton both before and during that to help me understand everything. We make references to various stories, particularly when we were writing the script before we began filming. When I got the call for Rush, I was in the middle of filming The Avengers, so I had to drop from my normal weight of 215 pounds for the role of Thor to around 185 pounds in order to fit in the car. All of it happened within 4 months. I'll carry on trying out, and who knows, maybe one day I'll travel to Los Angeles and do the same. It's fun to be a part of and watch a movie where you can let your imagination run wild. Therefore, I enjoy working on those. I used to adore all forms of fantasy. Strong female characters are crucial. Sometimes a villain's character is given more attention. My memories of the crocodiles and buffalo up there in Bowman are perhaps the clearest. I really find it more difficult to act in scenarios with little action, like getting a milkshake in the diner. That is much more difficult to pull off in conventional sequences where there is tension and you have a role to play. It's all right, I said after putting the outfit on. It's not very comfortable, but it looks wonderful. After Rush, everything changed for me. Although it didn't have the same financial impact as previous things I had done, it allowed me more freedom, opportunities, doors opening, and meetings. Then it's all of a sudden, oh wow, you're a performer. When I first saw a Formula One car in person, I just regarded the cockpit, assuming I would never enter it. The entire vehicle is worn by the drivers like a form-fitting suit. We have 3 dogs at home in Victoria, Tosh and Lucy, 2 half-blue heelers, and Torin, a tiny Maltese terrier. In the house, she is the center of attention more than anyone else. Yes, I do greatly miss them. Eating that much food and eating when you're not hungry makes you feel exhausted. Since that is my current job, I can't really complain because I get to stay active. People who risk everything and put their own safety at risk for the benefit of others are inspirational and significant, as are those in any field whose first concern is the welfare of others rather than their own. The experiences we have as children mold who we become as adults in terms of how we view ourselves and the world. It becomes more engaging the more conflict and contrast you have with a character. I received the film quite fast and thought I was doing well. I used to sound like Crocodile Dundee when I went to auditions, thinking this is going to be a novelty for them. Instead of having to lose weight, I'd much rather gain weight. I was raised in a motorcycle-centric culture. When we played backyard cricket, as my dad recalls, I would simply refuse to let go of the bat and swing it at anyone who attempted to take it away from me if I was knocked out. I'd like to think that it softened a little with time. I occasionally have OCD cleaning episodes around the house. However, after I become indolent, I recover. It's a really erratic personality characteristic. Superheroes are a lot of fun to be. I recall seeing Lord of the Rings and feeling genuinely sad that I didn't exist in that world. I had embarrassing haircuts for 3 years. Recently, I've almost felt more pressure to take advantage of the chance presented to me. Like my wife and I, my daughter is full of energy, intelligent, and has strong opinions. One of my guys is a little more laid back and tranquil, while the other is a lot more perceptive. When they are first born, you can immediately observe this. Among the boys, one sobbed and one did not. My earliest memories are of the outback cattle stations. Then we relocated back to Melbourne, then back outside, and finally back inside. When you're young, you run around the home acting like a superhero. So, to be able to do it for a living makes me feel quite fortunate. I adore the Viking Age, but there were also fatalists, and it affected how fearless they were in battle and how they lived. I have always loved watching movies as a child because they take you to a different world and show you things you never see in real life. Marvel developed a vast universe, and on top of that, there are these incredibly close-knit actors all around you. I enjoy racing, so that's okay. Actually, quite a lot. I was a boy living in Australia at the time. After that, I never really made the transition to driving cars. If you do a major TV show after moving to America, you may already be established or elderly before you ever arrive. We relate to anything godlike with an English accent for whatever reason. On that, the English are extremely proud. They also have an English accent while talking about anything Roman or gladiatorial. It's a simple ploy to draw in a crowd, to draw them in. Life is all about experience and being a nice person, in my opinion. At a drugstore, I started my career by cleaning breast pumps. While I was in school, I had a part-time job that didn't require an interview. Although I prefer to think of myself as a normal sort of man, my mother will probably tell you that Chris has always been the middle child among her 3 sons. After that, I understood that there are a million other Australians present and that I should stop talking. I prioritize comfort over fashion. It's a blessing to collaborate with Anthony Hopkins every day. Being that close to anything makes it difficult to watch yourself, but the movie is so impressive in so many ways that I was carried along like an audience member, which is a positive indication. I didn't begin weightlifting until the movie Thor. Everything was somewhat new to me. After accepting the role and signing the contract, you begin to understand that this character is followed by millions of people who are more familiar with him than you are. It can be challenging to see yourself on TV, especially when you're 60 feet tall. It is awkward for me as an actor. Even seeing things I did 3 or 4 years ago is not something I like doing. I was a nice child,